Funmi had 14 minutes to decide if she was being rescued or kidnapped. The Mafia boss in her living room claimed he was protecting her, but the gun visible beneath his jacket and the cold certainty in his eyes suggested something far more dangerous. "My enemies know about the baby," Jay Hun said, showing her surveillance photos of herself, taken over the past week without her knowledge. Walking to work. Buying groceries. Completely unaware she was being tracked like prey. "They'll come for you to get to me. The only question is whether you're smart enough to accept my protection or stubborn enough to die refusing it." His hand closed around her wrist, not tight enough to hurt but firm enough to remind her she had already lost control. "Time's up, Funmi. What's it going to be?" But to understand how she ended up here, staring into the eyes of Seoul's most dangerous man, we need to go back to 30 minutes earlier. The test strip trembled in Funmi's fingers as two pink lines stared back at her. Her breath caught somewhere between her throat and her lungs. This could not be happening. Not now, not like this. The bathroom tiles felt cold beneath her bare feet as reality crashed over her in waves. She was pregnant. For weeks along, according to the symptoms she had been ignoring. For weeks since that night at the club when she had let her guard down with a stranger whose name she barely remembered. Except she did remember. Kang Jay Hun. The man with the dragon tattoo coiling up his neck and eyes that promised danger. Her phone buzzed on the counter. An unknown number flashed across the screen. Funmi's stomach twisted as she answered. "Congratulations are in order, I hear." The voice was smooth, accented, unmistakably his. "How did you get this number?" "I make it my business to know everything about what belongs to me." "I don't belong to anyone." Funmi gripped the edge of the sink. "And you need to stop calling me. That child you're carrying says otherwise. I'll be at your apartment in 20 minutes. We have much to discuss." The line went dead before she could respond. Panic flooded through her veins. How did he know? She had only just found out herself. Funmi stumbled into her living room, her mind racing through impossible scenarios. She had been so careful. No social media posts. No telling anyone. Yet somehow this man, this stranger who had consumed her thoughts for weeks, knew her secret before she had even processed it herself. A knock echoed through her small apartment exactly 20 minutes later. Funmi stood frozen in the center of her living room. She had not given him her address. The knock came again, more insistent this time. "Open the door, Funmi. I know you're standing right there." His voice carried through the wood like a command she had no choice but to obey. Her hand moved to the lock before her brain could catch up. The door swung open and there he stood. Kang Jay Hun filled her doorway with the same dangerous presence that had drawn her to him that night. His black suit was perfectly tailored. His dark hair was swept back from his face. Those eyes, cold and calculating, softened just slightly when they landed on her. "You look pale." He stepped inside without invitation, closing the door behind him. "Have you eaten today?" "That's none of your business." Funmi backed away, putting space between them. "You need to leave. I don't know how you found me, but this is harassment." "Harassment?" Jay Hun's lips curved into something that was not quite a smile. "Is that what we're calling it when a man checks on the mother of his child? One night doesn't give you rights to anything. One night we had a child. That gives me every right." He moved closer, and Funmi found herself trapped between him and the wall. "You're in my world now whether you want to be or not, and in my world, I protect what's mine. Before we continue, can I ask you a question? Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below because we would love to know how far these stories travel, and hit that subscribe button because there are new stories you do not want to miss. I'm not yours." Funmi's voice shook despite her attempt at strength. "I don't even know you. You knew me well enough 4 weeks ago." His hand came up to rest against the wall beside her head. "But let me reintroduce myself properly. Kang Jay Hun. Head of the Kang Syndicate, the youngest boss Seoul has ever seen. And the father of your baby." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Mafia boss. Of course he was. Funmi should have known from the way men had parted for him at the club. From the expensive watch on his wrist. From the danger that radiated off him like heat. I can't do this. She ducked under his arm, putting the couch between them. I can't be involved with someone like you. I won't raise a child in that world. You think you have a choice? Jay Hun's expression hardened. The moment you conceived my child, you became a target. My enemies already know about you. About the baby. Your name is on a list, Funmi. A list of people they can use to hurt me. Ice flooded her veins. You're lying. I wish I was. He pulled out his phone, swiped through something, then held it out to her. Read it. Funmi's hand shook as she took the device. The screen showed a document in Korean with her photo attached. Her full name. Her address. The words were foreign but the intent was clear. Someone had been watching her. Tracking her. Her vision blurred at the edges. How long have they known? Since last week. I've had men stationed outside your building ever since. You just haven't noticed them. Jay Hun took his phone back, his jaw tight. This is why I'm here, not to force you into anything. But to offer you protection. You and our child. Protection that comes with strings. Funmi wrapped her arms around herself. What do you want from me? For now? Pack a bag. You're coming with me. Absolutely not. It wasn't a request. His tone left no room for argument. You can come willingly or I can carry you out of here. Either way, you're not staying in this apartment where anyone can get to you. Funmi's mind spun through her options. She could refuse. Call the police. But what would she tell them? That a mafia boss was offering her protection? They would laugh her out of the station. Or worse, they were already on his payroll. She thought of the baby growing inside her. Innocent. Unaware of the chaos waiting outside the womb. If I agree to this, I want ground rules. She lifted her chin, meeting his gaze. I'm not your prisoner. I'm not your property. And when this threat is over, I go back to my life. Something flashed in Jay Hun's eyes. Amusement maybe. Or challenge. Agreed. Though I think you'll find my protection comes with certain comforts you won't want to give up. Don't count on it. Pack your things, we leave in 10 minutes. Funmi disappeared into her bedroom, her heart hammering against her ribs. This was insane. She barely knew this man and now she was moving into his home. But what choice did she have? She threw clothes into a duffel bag, grabbed her laptop and important documents. Her hand hesitated over a framed photo of her parents back in Nigeria. She tucked it carefully between her clothes. When she emerged, Jay Hun was on his phone speaking rapid Korean. He ended the call when he saw her. Ready? As I'll ever be. The drive to his penthouse was silent and tense. Funmi stared out the window at Seoul's glittering skyline, wondering how her life had spiraled so far out of control. The car pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that screamed wealth. Jay Hun led her to a private elevator that required a fingerprint to access. Only 3 people have access to this floor. He pressed his thumb to the scanner. You'll be added tomorrow. The elevator opened directly into his penthouse. Funmi stepped into a space that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Modern furniture in blacks and grays. Art on the walls that probably cost more than her entire apartment. But what caught her attention was the bookshelf in the corner. Nigerian literature. Chinua Achebe. Chimamanda Adichie. Teju Cole. You read Nigerian authors? I did my research. Jay Hun set her bag down. I wanted you to feel at home here. Something warm and unwelcome stirred in Funmi's chest. She pushed it away. This was manipulation. A gilded cage was still a cage. The guest room is down the hall, first door on the right. He moved toward the kitchen. Are you hungry? I can feed myself. I know you can. But my mother sent over jollof rice earlier. She's been excited about the baby. You told your mother? Funmi's voice rose. You had no right. She would have found out eventually. Better it came from me. Jay Hun pulled containers from the fridge. Besides, she's the only person in my world I trust completely. You'll meet her tomorrow. I didn't agree to meet your family. You're carrying my child. You're already family whether you've agreed to it or not. He plated the food with surprising care. Sit. Eat. We can argue after you've had something in your stomach. The smell of the jollof rice made Funmi's mouth water. She had not eaten since breakfast and her body was making demands her pride wanted to ignore. She sat at the kitchen island and accepted the plate he slid toward her. The rice was perfect. Rich and spicy and tasting like home. Your mother can cook. Best in Seoul. Pride colored his voice. She insisted on making sure you had proper food. Said the baby needs it. They ate in silence. Funmi tried not to notice how Jay Hun watched her between bites. How his presence seemed to fill every corner of the space. How her body remembered the way his hands had felt on her skin that night. She shoved the thought away violently. That was before. Before she knew what he was. Before everything became complicated. I have business to handle tonight. Jay Hun stood, collecting their plates. You're safe here. The doors are locked. The security system is military grade. Don't leave the penthouse. Am I your guest or your prisoner? You're the mother of my child. That makes you both. He leaned across the island, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Get some rest, Funmi. Tomorrow we start figuring out how this is going to work. He left her alone in the vast penthouse. Funmi explored the guest room, finding it decorated in warm neutrals with an en-suite bathroom that was bigger than her bedroom back home. She unpacked mechanically, her mind still trying to process the last few hours. Pregnant. Living with a mafia boss. Her life had become a drama she had not auditioned for. Sleep came in fits and starts. Every sound made her jump. Around 3 in the morning, she heard the front door open. Footsteps moved through the living room. Water ran in a kitchen sink. Then silence again. Jay Hun was home. Something about knowing he was there made it easier to close her eyes. Morning light streamed through the windows when Funmi finally dragged herself out of bed. She found Jay Hun in the kitchen already, suit jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up, making coffee. There's tea if you prefer. He nodded toward a kettle. I wasn't sure what you drink in the mornings. Tea is fine. She moved carefully around him, maintaining distance. What happened today? My mother arrives at noon. She wants to meet you properly. He poured his coffee. After that, we need to discuss security protocols, things you need to know to stay safe. And if I don't want to meet your mother? Then you'll disappoint a woman who's already planning her grandchild's nursery. His lips twitched. Trust me, you don't want to be on her bad side. The doorbell chimed exactly at noon. Funmi smoothed down her dress nervously. She had changed 3 times, unsure what one wore to meet a mafia boss's mother. Jay Hun opened the door and a small woman swept in with the energy of a hurricane. Mrs. Kang was tiny but commanding, her dark hair swept into an elegant bun, her eyes sharp and assessing as they landed on Funmi. So this is her. She circled Funmi like a general inspecting troops. Pretty. Good hips for childbearing. Do you eat enough? Mother, please. Jay Hun's voice carried a warning. Don't interrogate her. I'm not interrogating. I'm getting to know the woman carrying my grandchild. Mrs. Kang took Funmi's hands in hers. You look terrified, child. Don't be. My son may be a monster to the rest of the world, but he's still my baby. And anyone important to him is important to me. The warmth in her voice cracked something in Funmi's armor. She found herself smiling despite everything. It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Kang. Call me Amma. We're family now. She pulled Funmi toward the couch. Now tell me everything. How are you feeling? Any morning sickness? Cravings? The afternoon passed in a blur of questions and stories. Mrs. Kang was relentless but kind, her love for her son evident in every word. She brought more food, traditional Korean dishes mixed with attempted Nigerian cuisine that made Funmi's heart ache for home. Jay Hun watched from the kitchen, his expression unreadable. My son doesn't show emotion well. Mrs. Kang lowered her voice conspiratorially. But I see how he looks at you. Like you're something precious he's afraid to break. He barely knows me. He knows enough. Jay Hun doesn't let people into his world lightly. The fact that you're here tells me everything. She patted Funmi's hand. Give him time. He'll prove himself worthy. After Mrs. Kang left, the penthouse felt too quiet. Funmi found Jay Hun on the balcony, smoking a cigarette and staring out at the city. Your mother is intense. She means well. He stubbed out the cigarette. She lost my father young. I'm all she has. The Mafia life? A rival syndicate. I was 16. His jaw tightened. I took over his position 2 years later. Youngest boss in Seoul's history. Funmi leaned against the railing beside him, maintaining careful distance. Do you ever regret it? This life? Every day. The admission seemed to surprise him as much as her. But regret doesn't change reality. This is who I am. What I am. The question is whether you can accept that. I don't know if I can. Funmi's honesty hung between them. I came to Seoul to build a life. To escape expectations back home. Not to end up in something more dangerous. What were you escaping? The question caught her off guard. No one had asked her that before. Everyone assumed she came for the opportunity. For adventure. But the truth was darker. My father wanted me to marry a man twice my age. A politician with 3 wives already. The words tasted bitter. I refused. So I saved every win from my teaching job and bought a one-way ticket to Seoul. Started over. You're braver than you think. Jay Hun's voice softened. Running away takes courage. Or desperation. Sometimes they're the same thing. He turned to face her fully. I won't force you into anything, Funmi. Not marriage. Not this life. But I will keep you safe. Both of you, that's not negotiable. His intensity should have scared her. Instead, it made her pulse quicken in a way she did not want to examine. The next few weeks fell into an unexpected rhythm. Funmi spent her mornings teaching English online from the penthouse. Her afternoons were filled with Korean language lessons Jay Hun insisted she needed for safety. He was gone most evenings, returning late smelling of cigarettes and danger. They circled each other like wary animals, neither willing to cross the invisible line between them. But the line was getting thinner. It happened 3 weeks into her stay. Funmi was in the kitchen attempting to make a goosey soup from ingredients Mrs. Kang had sourced. The recipe required constant stirring and her arm was getting tired. Jay Hun appeared behind her, close enough that she felt his body heat. You're going to burn it. His hand covered hers on the spoon. Gentle circles. Like this. His breath stirred her hair. His chest pressed against her back. Funmi's heart forgot how to beat properly. This was too close. Too intimate. But she could not seem to move away. I can handle it. Her voice came out breathless. I know you can. But you don't have to handle everything alone anymore. His free hand settled on her hip, steadying her. Let me help. They stood like that, stirring soup together, until Funmi's resolve began to crack. She turned in the circle of his arms, meaning to push him away. But when she looked up at his face, the words died on her lips. Jay Hun was looking at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Like she was precious. Breakable. Hi. We shouldn't. Even as she said it, Funmi's body swayed closer. This is a bad idea, probably the worst I've ever had. His thumb traced her cheekbone. But I've never been good at making smart choices where you're concerned. He kissed her. Soft at first, almost questioning. When she did not pull away, he deepened it, one hand sliding into her hair, the other pulling her flush against him. Funmi's mind screamed warnings, but her body had other ideas. She kissed him back, tasting coffee and danger and something that felt dangerously like coming home. The soup began to bubble over. They broke apart, both breathing hard. Jay Hun turned off the stove while Funmi tried to remember why this was wrong. Why she could not let herself want him. The list seemed shorter than it had that morning. I should go check on work. She fled to her room before he could respond. Before she could do something stupid like kiss him again. That night, sleep was impossible. Funmi's lips still tingled from the kiss. Her body remembered the solid warmth of his. She had spent weeks convincing herself this was temporary. That once the threat passed, she would take her baby and disappear. But now? Now she was not sure she wanted to. The realization terrified her more than any Mafia threat ever could. Morning brought new complications. Jay Hun was at the breakfast table when Funmi emerged, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he had slept as poorly as she had. We need to talk about yesterday. There's nothing to talk about. Funmi poured tea with shaking hands. It was a mistake. It won't happen again. A mistake. His laugh held no humor. Is that what we're calling it? What else would you call kissing someone you barely know? Someone you're only connected to because of an accident? An accident. Jay Hun stood, his chair scraping against the floor. Is that what our child is to you? An accident? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Funmi? Because from where I'm standing, you seem determined to convince yourself that nothing between us is real. That this is just an obligation and circumstance. He moved closer, crowding her space. But your body tells a different story. The way you kissed me yesterday. The way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. You feel this too. It doesn't matter what I feel. Funmi set her cup down before she dropped it. You're a Mafia boss. I'm a teacher from Nigeria trying to build a quiet life. We're from different worlds. You're in my world now. Have been since the moment you took that pregnancy test. His hand cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I can't let you go, Funmi. Even if you asked me to. Even if it would be safer for everyone. I'm too selfish. Too far gone. Before she could respond, his phone rang. Jay Hun cursed in Korean, glancing at the screen. His entire demeanor changed, going from intense to ice-cold in seconds. Stay here. Lock the door after I leave. Don't open it for anyone except me or my mother. He grabbed his jacket. I'll explain later. He was gone before Funmi could ask questions. The apartment felt too large and too quiet in his absence. She tried to focus on lesson plans, but her mind kept circling back to his words. Too far gone. What did that mean? And why did it make her chest feel tight with something that was not quite scary? Hours passed with no word. Funmi made dinner she had no appetite for. Paced the living room. Checked her phone obsessively. When the door finally opened around midnight, she rushed to the entrance. Jay Hun stood in the doorway, his white shirt stained red, his knuckles bloody. Oh my God. Funmi reached for him instinctively. Are you hurt? It's not my blood. He let her lead him to the couch. There was an incident. One of my warehouses was hit. We handled it. Handled it. Funmi grabbed the first aid kit from the bathroom. You mean you killed people? I protected what's mine. No apology. No shame. Just a cold fact. That's what I do, Funmi. That's who I am. If you can't accept that, tell me now. She should be horrified. Should demand he take her somewhere safe, far from his world of violence and blood, but as she cleaned his knuckles, all Funmi felt was relief that he had come home. That the blood was not his. When had this monster become someone she cared about? I don't know how to accept it. Her voice was barely a whisper. But I'm trying. Something in Jay Hun's expression cracked open. He pulled her onto his lap, burying his face in her neck. They sat like that for a long time, her hands in his hair, his arms around her waist. No words. Just the quiet comfort of not being alone. The incident at the warehouse changed things. Jay Hun became more protective, more possessive. He hired additional security for the building. I started working from home more often. Funmi caught him watching her with an intensity that made her skin heat and her resolve weaken. The attraction between them had always been there, but now it felt like a living thing, demanding attention. They kissed again a week later. And again the day after that. Small moments that grew into something bigger. Funmi stopped pretending she did not want him. Jay Hun stopped holding back. They fell into each other with the desperate urgency of people who knew their time might be limited. But they did not talk about what it meant. Did not define the thing growing between them. It felt safer that way. Less real. If they did not name it, maybe it could not hurt them when it inevitably fell apart. Mrs. Kang noticed, of course. She arrived one afternoon with groceries and knowing looks. You're glowing. She cornered Funmi in the kitchen. Pregnancy suits you. Or maybe it's my son. I don't know what you mean. Please, child. I see how you look at each other. Like you're both drowning and each other is air. Mrs. Kang chopped vegetables with expert precision. It's about time. Jay Hun has been alone too long. We're not together. Not like that. The lie felt hollow even to Funmi's ears. This is just temporary until the threat passes. Keep telling yourself that. Mrs. Kang's smile was all-knowing. But I've already started planning the wedding. Traditional Korean ceremony mixed with Nigerian customs. It will be beautiful. There's not going to be a wedding. We'll see. That evening, Jay Hun came home early with news that made Funmi's blood run cold. His rival, a woman named Mio, wanted a meeting. She was demanding marriage to Jay Hun and a merger of their syndicates. If he refused, she would escalate the conflict. Target everyone he cared about, so marry her. Funmi tried to keep her voice steady. Problem solved. I'm not marrying her. Jay Hun's jaw was tight. I'm not marrying anyone I don't choose. Then what are you going to do? Handle it. Like I handle everything else. He pulled her close, despite her resistance. Mio thinks she has leverage. I think I'll sacrifice my happiness to avoid war. But she doesn't know me as well as she thinks she does. What does that mean? It means I'd burn Seoul to the ground before I let anyone force my hand. His eyes were hard as obsidian. You and our baby are mine to protect. Mine to keep. No one takes what's mine. The possessiveness should have bothered her. Should have set off alarm bells. Instead, Funmi felt something warm and dangerous unfurl in her chest. She was falling for him. For this violent, complicated man who looked at her like she hung the moon. The realization was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Jay Hun. His name felt heavy on her tongue. I need to tell you something. What is it? I think I'm starting to care about you. More than I should. More than is safe. The admission cost her everything. And it scares me because I don't know how this ends, how we could possibly work long term. He kissed her then. Slow and deep and thorough. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. It ends with us together. You, me, and our child. Everything else we'll figure out as we go. His forehead rested against hers. I know I'm not what you planned for. Not the safe choice. But I'm yours, Funmi. Have been since that night at the club. Before I even knew your name. You're definitely not the safe choice. But she was smiling. "You're the most dangerous man I've ever met, and you're the only thing in this world that scares me." He kissed her again. "Because losing you would destroy me in ways my enemies never could." They spent that night tangled together on the couch, talking until dawn. Jay Hun told her about growing up in the syndicate. About the first time he had to kill someone. About the nightmares that still haunted him. Funmi shared stories from Nigeria. Her childhood. Her dreams of becoming a writer someday. They learned each other in a way that had nothing to do with physical attraction and everything to do with building something real. When sunlight began to creep through the windows, Funmi felt the last of her walls crumble. She was in love with Kang Jay Hun. Completely. Irrevocably. The knowledge should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like coming home. The meeting with Mio was scheduled for the following week. Jay Hun spent the days leading up to it making preparations. Funmi watched him transform from the man who kissed her gently in the mornings to the cold strategist who ruled Seoul's underworld. Both versions were him. Both versions she was learning to love. "I want to come with you." She made the announcement over breakfast 3 days before the meeting. "Absolutely not. She's threatening me too. I have a right to face her. You have a right to stay safe." Jay Hun's voice was steel. "I won't risk you or the baby. I'm not asking for permission." Funmi met his glare with her own. "I'm telling you I'm coming. You can accept that or we can fight about it." They fought about it. Loudly. But in the end, Jay Hun conceded. Probably because he knew Funmi would find a way to be there regardless. He made her promise to stay back, to let him handle the confrontation. To run if things went south. The morning of the meeting, Funmi dressed carefully in black. Armor for a different kind of battle. Jay Hun watched her from the doorway, his expression unreadable. "You look like a queen." "I feel like I'm going to throw up." "That's just pregnancy." He pulled her close. "Stay behind me. No matter what happens. Promise me." "I promise." The meeting was in a neutral location. An abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Seoul. Very dramatic. Very Mafia. Funmi tried not to roll her eyes at the cliché. Jay Hun's men formed a protective circle around them as they entered. Mia waited in the center of the space, flanked by her own security. She was beautiful in a cold, calculated way. Her eyes assessed Funmi with open disdain. "So this is her." Mio's English was perfect and cutting. The Nigerian nobody who thinks she can trap Korea's most eligible bachelor with a baby. "Watch your mouth." Jay Hun's voice could have cut glass. "You wanted this meeting. State your terms." "My terms are simple. Marry me. Merge our syndicates. Send your little pet back to Africa where she belongs." Mio smiled like a shark. "Or I'll make sure she never makes it there alive." The threat hung in the air like poison. Funmi felt Jay Hun tense beside her, violence coiling in his muscles. She touched his arm gently, a reminder to stay calm. "I'm not going anywhere." Funmi stepped forward despite Jay Hun's protest. "And he's not marrying you." "So what now?" "Now?" Mio laughed. "Now I will show you what happens to people who get in my way." Her men moved fast. Too fast. Funmi barely registered the danger before Jay Hun shoved her behind him. Gunfire erupted. Bodies dropped. The warehouse became a war zone in seconds. Jay Hun was a force of nature, taking down threats with lethal efficiency. But there were too many. They were outnumbered. Funmi ran like Jay Hun had told her to. Found cover behind a stack of crates. Her heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. This was real. This was happening. She could die here. Her baby could die here. The thought made her sick with terror. Then she heard Jay Hun shout. A sound of pain that cut through the chaos. Funmi's body moved before her brain could stop her. She emerged from cover to see him on his knees, blood spreading across his shirt. Mio stood over him with a gun pointed at his head. Any last words? Yeah. Jay Hun's smile was bloody and feral. You lose. His men flooded the warehouse from every entrance. Mio's forces were surrounded in seconds. The tables had turned completely. Jay Hun rose to his feet despite his injury, taking the gun from Mio's hand with casual violence. You made a critical mistake. He pressed the barrel to her forehead. You threatened what's mine. There's no coming back from that. You can't kill me. My father will start a war. But Mio's voice shook. Your father will thank me. Jay Hun's smile was cold. I have evidence of your embezzlement. Your side deals with rival gangs. Your attempts to overthrow him. I've been collecting it for months. Waiting for you to make a move this stupid. He pulled out his phone, showing Mio something that made her face go white. Then he turned to one of his men. Send this to her father. Let him decide what to do with a daughter who betrayed him. Mio crumpled. All her bravado evaporated in the face of ruin. Jay Hun dismissed her with contempt, already turning back to Funmi. He was bleeding badly. She rushed to him, hands fluttering over the wound helplessly. Hospital. Now. I'm fine. You're bleeding. That's the opposite of fine. Funmi's voice cracked. Please. For me. For the baby. Go to the hospital. Something in her desperation reached him. Jay Hun let his men help him to the car. Funmi held his hand the entire drive, praying in English and Yoruba and broken Korean. He had to be okay. She had just found him. Just admitted she loved him even if only to herself. He could not leave her now. The hospital staff jumped into action the moment they saw who had arrived. Jay Hun was whisked away to surgery while Funmi paced the waiting room like a caged animal. Mrs. Kang arrived within the hour, pulling Funmi into a fierce hug. He'll be fine. My son is too stubborn to die. He got shot protecting me. He would do it again in a heartbeat. That's what love does. Mrs. Kang smoothed Funmi's hair. It makes us reckless and brave and stupid all at once. Hours crawled by. Funmi dozed fitfully in a plastic chair, Mrs. Kang's hand warm in hers. When a doctor finally emerged, she jolted awake with her heart in her throat. He's stable. The bullet missed everything vital. He'll need rest, but he should make a full recovery. Relief made Funmi's knees weak. Mrs. Kang caught her before she collapsed. They were allowed in to see him once he was moved to a private room. Jay Hun looked pale against the white sheets, but his eyes were clear when they landed on Funmi. Told you I was fine. You got shot. She wanted to hit him and kiss him in equal measure. That is not fine. But I'm alive. We both are. His hand found hers. That's all that matters. Mrs. Kang tactfully excused herself, leaving them alone. Funmi climbed carefully onto the bed beside him, mindful of his injury. They lay there in silence for a long moment before Jay Hun spoke again. I love you. The words were quiet but firm. I've loved you since the moment you crashed into me at that club. Since before I knew your name. Before I knew about the baby. I need you to know that. Tears burned Funmi's eyes. You almost died today. All the more reason to tell you now. Life's too short to waste on pride or fear. His thumb traced her cheekbone. Tell me you feel it too, even a little. I feel it too. The admission broke something open in her chest. I love you, Jay Hun. I tried not to. Fought at every step. But I love you anyway. He kissed her then, slow and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, both of them were smiling despite everything. Marry me. What? Funmi's laugh was half sob. You're high on painkillers. I'm completely serious. Marry me, Funmi. Not because of the baby. Not because of threats or obligation. But because I can't imagine my life without you in it. His eyes were clear and certain. Make an honest man out of me, God knows I need it. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Then I'll do it properly when I'm out of this hospital. With a ring and flowers and whatever else you want. He squeezed her hand. But say yes now so I can stop holding my breath. Yes. The word came easier than she expected. Yes, I'll marry you, you stubborn, reckless, wonderful man. Jay Hun pulled her down for another kiss. This one is deeper. More possessive. A promise and a claim all at once. When they finally broke apart, Funmi was breathless and grinning and more terrified than she had ever been in her life, but in the best way. Recovery was slow. Jay Hun chafed at bed rest, but Funmi was ruthless about enforcing it. She moved into his room at the penthouse, unwilling to let him out of her sight. They spent long afternoons tangled in sheets, talking about their future. Planning a wedding that would blend their cultures. Imagining their child growing up loved and safe despite the dangerous world surrounding them. Mio's father had dealt with his daughter swiftly. She was exiled. Stripped of power and position. The threat to Funmi and the baby evaporated overnight. Word spread through Seoul's underworld. Kang Jay Hun's woman was untouchable. His child is sacred. Anyone who thought otherwise would face consequences. The protection should have felt suffocating. Instead, Funmi found peace in it. She could walk Seoul's streets again. Return to her favorite cafes. Build the life she had come here for. Only now it was bigger. Richer. Full of love she had not expected to find. 3 months after the shooting, they married in a ceremony that made Mrs. Kang weep with joy. Funmi wore white with Nigerian beads woven into her braided hair. Jay Hun looked devastating in a traditional Korean hanbok. They exchanged vows in English and Korean, promising forever to each other and the child growing between them. The reception was chaotic. Mafia bosses danced with Nigerian aunties. Korean drums mixed with Afrobeat. 2 worlds colliding in the best possible way. Funmi danced until her feet hurt, Jay Hun's hand never leaving hers. When she looked around at the people celebrating them, she felt something settle in her chest. This was home. Not a place but a person. A family they were building together. Their son arrived 4 months later, Damier, they named him. A blend of their languages and cultures. He had Jay Hun's eyes and Funmi's smile. When Jay Hun held him for the first time, tears tracked down his face unchecked. He's perfect. His voice was rough with emotion. You're both perfect. Funmi watched her husband cradle their child with hands that had killed and destroyed, now so gentle they made her heart ache. This was not the life she had planned. Not the safe, quiet existence she had run to Seoul to find. But it was hers, hard-won and fiercely protected and full of a love that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. I love you. She said it like a prayer. A promise. A truth she would never tire of speaking. I love you more. Jay Hun looked up from their son, his eyes soft. Both of you. My world. My everything. Outside the hospital window, Seoul glittered in the darkness. Somewhere in the city, danger still lurked. Threats still waited. But in this moment, wrapped in the safety of her husband's arms with their child between them, Funmi felt invincible. They had survived everything thrown at them, they would survive whatever came next. Together. Always together. If you enjoyed this story, hit that subscribe button because there are new stories you do not want to miss. Drop a like and comment below with your thoughts. Tell us which moment made your heart race. We love hearing from you.